are live in our Facebook group. Again, this is Dr. Mike Chua, physical therapist and certified dementia practitioner, your alternative career coach. Well, anyway, we are coming to you live here in our alternative careers, Alzheimer's and dementia support group. So if you're watching live, please comment live. If you're watching on the replay, please comment replay. Well, anyway, we had a very, very good question. Oh, by the way, I just restarted my thing. If you can hear me, please type in you can hear me, because I don't know if my microphone is working or not. But I'm going to keep going. Somebody asked her loved one is in stage 4 and 5, and she wanted to talk about it. And let's just go ahead and talk about the 7 stages. The 7 stages of dementia. It's called the GDS scale, or the Global Deterioration Scale by Riceberg Scale. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So the first stage is obviously stage 1, right? No cognitive decline. That's us. Normal function, no memory loss. People with no dementia are considered in stage 1. See, you see here, people with no dementia are considered in stage 1. All right. So what is stage 2? Stage 2 is called very mild cognitive decline. Very mild cognitive decline means, they forget the names, they misplace their familiar objects like keys, they forget what the name of their previous neighbor is. And symptoms are not evident to loved ones or doctors because they know how to mask. They know how to mask it by being either angry or being humorous. So we're going to talk about that too later, okay? Next stage will be obviously stage 3, which is the mild cognitive decline. Mild cognitive decline. So there's an increase in forgetfulness, slight difficulty concentrating, decreased work performance. You will see a lot of this in the early stages. When you see a early onset dementia, their work performance has decreased. They get lost more frequently, especially when driving. You know that. You've seen that. They're still able to drive their normal route, going in and out. And then you put them in a different situation, they're going to get lost, right? Difficulty finding words. I guess that's me because English is not my first language. And your loved ones, the family, are starting to begin to notice that, right? The loved ones begin to notice that. So, Alyssa is here. Thank you very much for watching, Alyssa. So that is stage 3. Let's just go back to stage 1 and 2, okay? So it doesn't mean when you're on the stage 4 and 5, it means you're worse. No, I mean let's just go back. Let's just go back. Stage 1, no cognitive decline. People with no dementia are considered stage 1. Okay, so what we're talking about is the 7 stages called the GDS. Every different practitioner uses different types of staging. There are other practitioner, they use the GDS, some they use the slums, some they use the mild, moderate, severe. So in this staging here, you will notice the stage 1 and 2 are the early stages, or 1 is no cognitive decline. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're on 4 and 5. It means you're super bad. So it doesn't mean, okay? So where were we? Again, stage 3, mild cognitive decline. We talked about it earlier. They have difficulty finding the right words. Okay. Their loved ones, the family starts to begin to notice. Okay. Stage 4 is the moderate cognitive decline. Moderate cognitive decline. Obviously, they have difficulty concentrating. They forget the recent events. They remember what they ate 1969, but they can't remember what they ate this morning, right? They can remember what they ate their birthday, 1975, but they cannot even remember what they ate this morning. So the recent events, the short-term memory, they're having a hard time, cannot manage their finances, cannot travel alone to new places. You cannot travel alone to new places. You give them a new environment to drive, they're going to get lost. Difficulty completing tasks. Give them a more complicated task, they're gonna unable to complete that. They have difficulty in denial about symptoms. In denial. So we're going to be talking about that later too as we dive in. Socialization problems. They will be withdrawn from friends or family. And then here is where the physician, the doctor, the therapist can detect the cognitive problems. So Hello, Anne. Hello, Anne. She's watching and listening. And Alyssa, definitely she's in, if not past this stage. Okay. All right. Next stage is stage 5, moderately severe cognitive decline. It's weird, right? But this is how they stage it, right? They're moderately severe cognitive decline. What are the characteristics? Major memory deficiencies, right? They need assistance with ADLs. What is ADLs? ADLs means activities of daily living. Activities of daily living. What are those? Just like dressing, bathing, cooking. They forget the details like address and phone numbers. I mean, I don't know what my phone number is. Ask me my social security, I probably forget it, right? Does it know the time or date? Does it know the time or date? And then does it know where they are? So they are disoriented to time and place and then situation, right? But they're alert. They're alert, right? But disoriented to time and place and date, okay? Next, stage 6, severe cognitive decline, which is what they call middle dementia, middle stage. They cannot carry out ADLs without help. They cannot do that. They cannot do the basic ADLs, activities of daily living. Obviously, they forget the names of the family member, forgets recent events, forgets major events, difficulty counting down from 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. If they have a hard time counting down from 10, that's their stage there. Incontinence, they lost bladder control. Obviously, it's just part of that brain there that they cannot control that bowel and bladder. Difficulty speaking, aphasia, the personality and emotional changes. We're going to talk about that too later, about the delusion. If they have delusional episodes, the 3Ds. I don't know if you remember the 3Ds. The depression, dementia, and delusion. Compulsive behavior, they are very compulsive, right? Because they lack the safety awareness. They lack that safety awareness. And also anxiety, okay? And last stage, obviously, stage 7, very severe cognitive decline, which is what they call late dementia. Obviously, they cannot speak or communicate. They require help with most activities. They have lost of motor skills and they can no longer walk because that part of their brain is affected. The basal ganglia, the rapid alternating movement, and even with the with their muscle control, they've lost that. So those are the 7 stages. Okay, those are the 7 stages of dementia using the GDS. Using the GDS, it's really hard to understand and memorize that, right? It's hard to understand and memorize that. Well, I'm checking at my Facebook thing here. Well, anyway, it's hard to understand, right? It's hard to remember. Mild, moderate, where's my mom or dad? But I want you to remember there's what you call the 5 stages of cognitive, 5 stages of Kubler-Ross. Kubler-Ross stages of grief. And that's how your loved one also goes through when they're having dementia. The first 2 stages is what you call the denial stage. We already talked about it, right? We've already talked about it. What part is where they're in denial? 4 and 5, right? So they're in that denial state. They will deny that they can still do this and they can still do that and attempt to do what they used to do before when in fact they cannot do it anymore. Just like cooking, driving, cleaning. They may be able to do it. They may be able to change their clothes, but are they able to do it safely? I may be able to take off my shirt, but am I doing it safely where I'm not going to fall or stumble? That makes sense? If that makes sense, comment makes sense, right? So they're in that denial stage. They're in that denial that they can still cook when in fact they forget to turn it off, right? They forgot to turn it off, the whatever you call that knob. They may be able to drive, but are they able to safely do it? Right? So they're in that denial stage. They may be able to drive, but are their eye reflexes, is it there? Their head turns, is it there? Can they turn their head when they're about to merge into a road? Are they able to go back to their house because of that new environment? Okay, so are they in that denial stage? Second stage, second and third is what you call the anger or humor stage. I'm looking at The questions here: anger or humor stage? Why anger or humor? Because they cannot do what they used to do before. Why anger? Because they cannot express themselves anymore. Me being a foreigner, English is not my first language. When I get sick, I don't want to talk to my kids. I want to talk to my wife who speaks my native language, right? So same thing with your Alzheimer's and dementia loved ones. They are having a hard time understanding you, and it takes them 90 seconds. Remember that. If you're watching right now, comment 90 seconds, 90. It takes them 90 seconds. Imagine that, to process that information. And if they cannot process that information in their brain, guess what? They're just going to get mad. They're going to get upset or be humorous. They're going to mask it with humor. Okay? They're going to mask it with humor. Alyssa here is asking, how long do the stages last before the next? Oh, that's a great question, Alyssa. I'm looking at my phone here on your questions here. How long do the stages last before the next? It depends upon the patient. It depends upon the patient, how healthy they were, their pre-morbid condition, their current medical condition. For example, they got UTI, obviously it will progress. It will progress. If they have a stroke, if they have vascular dementia, and then they had another stroke like a TIA, transient ischemic attack, it's going to advance. If they are dehydrated, that stage is going to advance. So it's called advancing the stages. So as much as possible, you always want to limit and treat the treatables or control the controllables. Just like in life, you need to learn how to control the controllables. In that way, you're not making it worse. Dementia there's no treatment for it, the actual dementia itself. But UTI can be prevented, right? Dehydration can be prevented. Stroke obviously can be prevented by taking proper medication, like statin, like blood thinners and everything. So those are preventable diseases and preventable stuff. In that way, you're not progressing that dementia. So it really depends on their previous condition and their current medical condition. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Alyssa. There you go. Somebody's asking, commented 90 seconds. That's good. All right, so we talked about the denial stage. We're in that anger and humor stage. What's the next stage? Bargaining. Your loved ones will bargain with you, bargain with priest or God, bargain with higher being or whatever. They're going to go to the doctor well-dressed. They're bargaining. You're going to bargain with them, bargain with you, right? And then what's the next stage? It's called the depression stage. Okay, they're going to be depressed. By the word itself, they're going to be depressed. They don't want to do anything. They just want to stay in the bed. They just want to stay in the recliner. I hate my life. I'm just going to be depressed. All right, they're going to be depressed. And in that stage, that's where you come in. You need to do three things. Okay, three things. If you see this, type in three things. Type in three, right? In order for you to move on and get out of that depression stage. Okay. Oh, Brianna, what's going on, sister? There you go. Vascular dementia usually has a step-like decline, and there you go. That's right. Brianna Wilson, she's one of our coaches here. She's a good OT. Well, anyway, so when that patient or that loved one is in that depression stage, type in three. Thank you, Anne. Three. You got to do three things. First thing that you need to do is medication management. I don't know what kind of medication that your loved one is appropriate for. It needs to be managed. Why? When you're taking medication, the appropriate ones, the right ones that is appropriate to your loved ones. Not all medication are the same. Okay, one medication could be effective to this patient. One medication could aggravate the actual medical condition. Why? Because the part of that brain is specific. That dementia, it's different parts of the brain is different function. So medication management, that's why it's called management. It needs to be managed. It needs to be managed. And every day is different. Every day is different. So when your loved one has proper medication management, you're releasing certain hormones. Okay, you're releasing certain hormones. What are those hormones that you're releasing? First is your dopamine hormone. You want to release that dopamine when you're in the 60s and 70s. I don't know if you remember this. Of course, I wasn't born, that old. I'm not that old. But when a patient is high or a person is high, they say, "Hey, man, that's dope," because that's that dopamine release in your body. When you're actually scrolling in your phone, you're scrolling in your cell phone, and you're seeing stuff that excites you. That's dopamine. Okay, so you want to release that dopamine in order for that patient or loved one to release that hormone, right? Dopamine. What's the next hormone that you want to release? Oxytocin. Oxytocin is what you call the love hormone. When you're hugging somebody, when I come home, I kiss my kids, I hug my wife, you're releasing oxytocin. That's what you call the love hormone. Love hormone. What's the next hormone that you want to release? Your serotonin. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Serotonin. There you go. Serotonin. It sounds like what kind of medication? Seroquel. Some people take medication Seroquel because it's a happy hormone. Your serotonin. What's the last hormone that you want to release? Endorphins. Endorphin is what does it sound like? Sounds like morphine, right? Because that's your natural painkillers, right? Natural body's painkiller. That's how God is. That's how great God is. He created our own medication in our body, right? Our hormones. So dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and your endorphins, right? Okay. So that's the first thing that you need to do. Medication management. Why 3? It's just like a stool. You put that stool, take off one leg, it's gonna fall. And that's the reason why there are a lot of people in that depression stage. They cannot get out of that depression stage. All right. If it's clinical depression, literally clinical depression, needs to be 3 things: medication management, therapeutic activities, and coaching and counseling. You take one off, it's gonna fall. And that's why there are so much people who are depressed now, because they're only taking medication. They're not doing the other 2. All right, they're not doing the other 2. So let's talk about the number 2. Right, first is medication management. Second is your I forgot. Is your coaching and counseling. You need to find a coach. You need to find a counselor. You need to find a social worker or a therapist that you can talk to. Why? Because when you're talking, you're releasing certain hormones again. And every time you're talking to somebody, you're talking to your coach, your doctor, to your therapist, they may find a solution to it. They may find a solution to it. Sometimes you just have to tell somebody your situation in order for you to be able to find that proper solution to it. Okay? I mean, I do that all the time. I write it. I have a planner here. And if I have a problem, I write it down here. And then while writing the problem, all of a sudden in my head, oh, it's coming out. There's a solution to it. Even therapists, us therapists, we write it down in what we call electronic medical record. When we're writing down the issue, the problem, after that, we are actually writing the possible solution to it. So same thing when you're talking to a coach and talking to a counselor or somebody else. So you need to find somebody, not just your loved one that has dementia, but also you as a caregiver. You need to talk to somebody like a pastor or a friend. Okay. All right. So, I haven't seen this yet. There you go. Okay. All right. Hey, everyone, people who are watching, Alyssa, Yvette, and Cindy. What's going on, Miss Cindy? Cindy is also another dementia practitioner, if she is the Cindy I know. Anyway, so what's the next step after doing medication management? Second is your coaching and counseling. You need to talk to a coach. You need to talk to a dementia coach, dementia practitioner, or whatever in your community, Alzheimer's Association, or to me, talk to me, reach out to me. The last thing that you need to do, 3 things, right? Because if you take one off, it's going to fall. Number three. What is it? Number 3, therapeutic activities, therapeutic exercise. You need to have therapeutic movements. Move, because movement matters to your brain matter. When you're moving your muscle, you're also moving your brain, because your motion is the lotion to your joints. Imagine if you're actually exercising, you're improving that circulation to your brain, you're improving that oxygenation to your brain. And a lot of people will say, hey, my mom was healthy. She never ate bad foods and she was always exercising. But guess what? It's better than nothing. You need to be exercising anyway to prevent the other morbidities that will make you worse, like stroke, like diabetes, like congestive heart failure. So you need to be exercising anyway, right? So let's go ahead and recap. If your loved one is in that depression stage, okay, is your medication management, and then your therapeutic activities, and then your coaching and counseling. Okay, so from there, once you've addressed that, they may be possibly move on to the next stage, which is called acceptance or end stage. All right, so let's do a recap on those five Kubler-Ross stage. First is the denial stage. Second is the anger or humor stage. Third is your bargaining. Fourth is your denial, your depression stage, and then last is your acceptance or your end stage. All right, so I hope I shed light on those people who are asking about that 7 stages. And like what I always say, uh, when your loved one is jumping back and forth, all right, for one day they're in that denial stage, one day they're in this bargaining stage and their depression stage, there's always an underlying reason to it. Okay, there's always an underlying reason to it. And a lot of people will say, oh, they're just having behaviors, they're just mean. Well, guess what? Let me turn that off. Guess what? There's always an underlying reason. And what is that reason? It could be UTI. It could be dehydration. It could be what else? Something is beeping in my computer. I think let me just turn that off. Oop. There you go. So it could be UTI, it could be pneumonia, it could be dehydration, it could be stroke. And yes, Cindy, that is the stages of grief. That's the stage of grief, the Kubler-Ross. All right. So what else? So where's I talk? I got distracted on that phone call on my computer. But anyway, and Cindy is right. The care partner also grieves. They also go in that on that stages, because I encounter it too. When my dad had that MCI and he passed away, he was my hero. He was like my dad. I mean, imagine my dad can't even remember stuff. And it was such a hard thing for me. So I was in that denial stage too. And I was angry why I wasn't able to take care of him too. And I was obviously depressed and sad when he passed away. And the care partner, the caregivers, you as somebody taking care of your loved one, you're going to go through it too. So you need to learn how to move on to those stages. All right. Okay. I'm going to stop talking. I just wanted to share that stages that we talked about. And if you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to the coaches in this group. We got several coaches who are really awesome. And then reach out to them. They got their own website. If not, you can go on, check out my website too, drmikechua.com. But again, thank you very much. But before I let you go, always remember the word FAST, F-A-S-T. Letter F, find friends that will push you to your next level, because you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Why? Because if you hang out with awesome people, guess what? You're going to be awesome. If you hang out with people who are actually complaining in life, guess what? Eventually, you're going to start complaining too. So go out, find an association, Alzheimer's association, find a church group that you can connect with, because you need that socialization. All right. You need that socialization. All right. What's next on the word FAST? F-A, letter A, you got to learn how to take action. Let me turn this off. Letter A, you got to learn how to take action. All this stuff that we're doing, it's not going to do me good. It's not going to do you good. There's somebody else if you don't take action on it. So take action. In the next few weeks, we're going to launch our course again. We call it the Misunderstanding Dementia course. And we're going to put up a challenge for us. Like, we're going to do a 3-day challenge wherein we're going to educate you. We're going to educate the heck out of you how to be a better dementia caregiver. So watch out for that. Okay. What's the next letter? Letter S. Letter S. Subscribe and share what we're doing here, because the more people we educate about Alzheimer's and dementia, the more we make it public, the more we make it, the more we help, right? And last but not the least, letter T on the word FAST is teach it. Why? Because when you hear it, you forget. When you see it, you remember. But when you're actually teaching it, you're going to understand it more. So make sure you're teaching people. Teach them about Alzheimer's, teach them about dementia, teach them about what's going on with your loved ones. Why? Because if somebody knows what your loved ones wants and not wants, or likes and dislikes, guess what? When they come in, they would know. If they like the color blue, guess what? Tell them, okay, wear a blue collar shirt. If they like the food, if they like the coffee black, guess what? Give them a black coffee. Don't add sugar or cream, right? So teach it. Learn how to teach it. All right. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate you, and you have a good night. I'm gonna share our whatever happened to our screen. There you go. I'm gonna put in the last closing thing here. Again, I wish you all the best. I hope you have a good night. God bless you, and be awesome, be great, be excellent. Alzheimer's and Dementia Support Group.